Hi everyone, I have Heiwi today with me. Hi Heiwi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you today?
Doing good, Heiwi. This has been a long anticipated episode that I have been trying to do for some time. Uh, One specific reason both of us share a lot in common in our background, right? So the moment we started speaking, we clicked off. We were like, yes, we are like, talking to the brothers and sisters. So we are, so,
Absolutely.
so this was so great, Himi. Thank you for taking your time out for me today. Obviously, I'll do a quick introduction of you. So Hivi is the EVP of member relations at Associated Trade Unions. One common denominator that we keep on talking, that even she came to this country when she was 17. She hails from Ethiopia, and she came to US for college, right? And ever since, she has been in US since she's 17. Now, with around 24 years of experience in the credit union industry, Kiwi actually started her career in the credit unions itself, right? That was her first job. She started as a teller, growing to managing contact centers, and now leading the charter for member relations for Associated Credit Union. Now that's quite a compact and I would say a high intensity job that she does. She runs an entire end-to-end member relations. Apart from work, she literally sits in an overwhelming number of boards. So she had sent me a list of around what 8 or 10 of them. I was like, no, we cannot finish introduction with 8 or 10 boards. Let's pick up the top two. And she advised me to talk about these two, right? So the first one, she's a board member of the League of Southern Credit Union Foundation, a very interesting and important organization driving the credit union movement in the region.
Yes.
Also, I was very passionate to hear about that. She is also a board member in a foundation called Next Gen Men and Women. So it's a foundation that supports close to 600 plus underprivileged kids in Atlanta for
Yes.
education. So that's very a noble and a real cause that you're supporting Heavy. So we appreciate that.
Thank
Uh, I hope I've covered Heavy, and if I've missed out something, you can go and add it.
Thank you. That's a great introduction. I appreciate it.
That means that you'll put this as a small reel and post it on your profile that
Yeah,
that this is who I am.
absolutely.
Sounds good. Um, so let's do a quick overview, right? Why don't we do a quick overview of your long journey, right, from Ethiopia 24 years back? Here. I mean, if you want to cover and talk about that, it'll be really great.
Yeah, sure. 17, as you can imagine, young and excited and nervous to come to the United States. Didn't know a lot, but there was one thing that I knew 100%, that I had to go to college. There was no options with my parents. You know, growing up in Ethiopia and during a communist country, and there's very, very few get the privilege coming to the U.S. and go to college, and your parents get to pay for you. So I'm grateful for that. And once I graduated and started my journey at Associated Credit Union as a teller, I didn't know what I was doing, but they took a chance on me. They trained me. And from there, I transferred to the lending department, worked in lending for a few years, then went to collections. I spent 7 years in collection. I was so timid when I started, but it really taught me that I'm a very strong person, and what people want to hear when they're struggling and unable to pay and on their loans was just passion and empathy and understanding. And for me, that truly is where I understood myself. I really
Yes.
understood who I am. And from there, I got promoted to be an AVP of contact center. I managed the lending area, the member services, and online banking. From there, I became senior vice president of member relations, and then we merged all the member facing area to report under me. That means the branch network, interactive tellers, member experience, business development, somehow facility. I'm learning. And that has been an amazing experience. And then now I'm an EVP of member relations, still managing those areas and learning every single day what it means to be a servant leader.
Absolutely. That's we were just chatting, right? That's 50% of the credit union.
I'm honored.
That's a very inspiring journey, and I mean, I could so much feel the real EV now, because coming to this country when you are 17, that's a journey to talk about, right? I mean, even I didn't change countries, but I left home when I was like 18, and I keep on talking to everyone, about my first salary. You can't even believe what was my first salary when I started my career. I used to get paid $3,000 a year. A year. Just imagine, right?
Wow. I can't even imagine.
You can't even imagine. That's like 9 years back. Exactly. I mean, from there to it's just blessing. That's all. It's God's grace. So
Yeah, it's a
I feel
privilege.
the same journey for you. Exactly. This is
Yeah.
so well connected and understood. Absolutely. Uh, Now, I mean, you spoke about your current role, so let me not deep dive into it, but still I'll ask, right? What excites you?
What excites me is opportunities, learning from others. I love traveling. I travel at least out of the United States twice a year if I can. And it excites me to learn about other cultures, what makes up that country, the people, the food, and I love networking. I love getting to know people. But every single conversation, I use it as an opportunity to learn from others because my experience might be in my little bubble, here at ACU, but there's so much to learn outside, our own homes and outside our countries. And it gives you insight of what makes up this wonderful world. Even with the madness, the craziness, it excites me to learn and the potential of what we can do together as we learn each other differences. And instead of seeing it as a difference, what do we have in common? So I get excited about that.
That's interesting. We'll do a quick pause. Wait. Uh, there's some, not echo, there is a sharp noise that's coming from your end. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We can edit this portion, we can just remove this portion, but let's
Okay.
just fix that. If you want, you can maybe leave and join back. If you can even try that, that's fine.
Say that again.
If you want, you can leave the studio and join back and see if it's better. Is it better?
It's better.
Better, right?
Yep.
Weird technological challenges that we don't know what.
Okay.
Can't.
It's good.
Okay, so we will resume. We will resume in 5 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Start. So, Evie, I want to ask you specific questions about your leadership style. Right now, you've led teams for years, starting from a teller to becoming an EVP. So that's the journey I want to talk about with every single people. I've spoken with CEOs who become from teller to CEO. It's an amazing journey. So you're on that same growth path right now, from an EVP to a C level next.
Right.
So from a teller to a you know C-level aspirant, right? Or let's put in this one an EVP itself. Teller to EVP is not an easy journey. That too being a migrant per se, right? And because I mean I'll talk about typical challenges, right? Uh, so we were talking the same thing. I have a very thick Indian accent, right? That was a huge issue for me. I'm sure you didn't have a lot, but I had one.
Yeah.
But I was still measured in the same yardstick, right? So there were challenges, specific challenges, which I had, and definitely you would have similar kind of challenges, right? So during that time, while leading multiple teams, cross-cultural teams, right, representing different population across the globe. So, do you have any specific leadership style that you think is really really effective for you and has worked out? And if you want to share with the rest of us, I think people will learn a lot.
Absolutely. So I've learned over the years, lead with empathy. people, sometimes it's not, you always don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in the room. You really should not be, because your team, that's why you hire them, should be the most knowledgeable. But willing to listen and willing to learn and having empathy and trying to put yourself in their situation is very critical. And people tend to trust me now because I bring myself to a point of, this is not about being an EVP. Let's talk from human perspective. I may not know exactly what you're going through, but if you talk to me, I'm going to have an idea. So trust me to understand that I know how it may feel to be 18 and not knowing, how to do my job. I know what it feels like to be a teller. I know what it feels like to be a contact center rep. I know what it means to be a collector because I've done all those jobs. So give me grace and trust me to sit down and have a conversations with you. Second, I lead by walking. I walk around this entire building during the day. Even those days during where I have 8-9 meetings, I make it a point to go to the break room. And I'm a hugger. I ask for, if it's okay to hug, but I'm a hugger. And I go and meet the new employees. I ask them how their day is going, and they usually get surprised. And sometimes it's just short 3-4 second conversation of, hey, I see you, I admire you, I appreciate you. And people just want to be seen. And so for me, no grad school is going to teach you how to be a servant leader. Absolutely not. It's to go to school. You have to. It's important. But leading by example and leading by empathy, to me, is what has made me to get to this position, but also appreciate everything that has been given to me, and I want to give it back.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's same. I mean, at times I felt you're speaking the same language as I do. Because for me, EQ is so important, so more important than IQ. I mean, if you're talking to people like us, who are in the cusp of being a Gen Z or very early spectrum of the millennial. I mean, I call myself as a Zillennial because Gen Z and Zillennial are basically, I mean, between Gen Z and millennial.
Right, right.
So what we need, Heavy, is empathy. I mean, you can be the sharpest person in the room, but if you do not have basic respect, do not value me, do not value my opinions, my emotions, value the fact that I have a life outside work, doesn't really work out, right? I mean, we are the generation who values about sustainability the most, right? I mean, for us, I mean that's an important fact. It doesn't matter if I'm a billionaire, if I own a penthouse in New York, but if I'm not uh, down to earth is the wrong word, but if I'm not approachable, if I do not have that empathy, we don't have respect for that person. It doesn't really matter because the world is changing. Right? And I'm glad to hear, Hibi, from a leader like you, that you possess the same thing and you think of it very similar. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
I learned it many, many years ago from my mother. My mom was an amazing leader. She worked for the UN, and I watched her, even in the household, how she led the family, and it was by empathy, it was understanding, and she really took time and gave you the attention. And even she traveled a lot, but when she talked to us and when she talked to people, you could tell she cared and nothing else mattered at that moment. And showing people that you care it goes a long way. And it's not about the title. Titles are for us to make hard decisions, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a passion to lead and you don't have empathy, people don't respect you.
Exactly, and I think people with leaders with quote unquote leaders with title, I don't think there is a future for them. Definitely, because if your team cannot trust you, team does not look up to you as being a leader that I want to be Anurag, right? I'm failing. I mean, it doesn't really matter if I'm a CEO or a CX of a firm. If I don't have that in me, I don't think that's sustainable. That might have been sustainable 20 years back, 15 years back, but not definitely now. I mean, the reason I'll tell you, Heavy, I have people in my team who are I term them as kids, right? They're kids in my team who joined me out of campus, like 21, 22. The type of discussions that they have, it's completely amazes me, right? And I always call them that I'm not managing you guys. Firstly, I'm not managing anyone, right? Everyone is capable individually of managing themselves.
Right.
That's one.
Right.
And then second, I don't care when you come to your office. I don't care. I don't care if you work remotely. If you get the work done, that's all. Right? And that's what people value about that. You have empathy. You ask them at the end of the day. I mean, my one-to-ones are very rare. He will then talk about, okay, tell me what's new in your work.
Right.
You're doing it every day. Ask them basic personal questions, right? Right? You know, how are things in your life?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Are you dating someone? I mean, basic things like this, right? These help build strong connections, and that helps as a whole in organization. I would say that's what my 2 cents are about servant leadership. What you talk about?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That sounds great, right? Let's talk about any tips, right? So definitely, you come with a wisdom, a wealth of wisdom, I would say.
Thank you.
Again, because of your varied experience and current role. Do you want to talk about any or share any tips to this audience, right? This audience really is again a group of C to C level to C minus one to BP audience of trade unions and community banks, and as well as some fintechs. Do you want to share some specific tips and advices to this audience where people aspire to become like you and aspire to grow despite having similar backgrounds? You know, I was talking to Sherry. Sherry is the CTO of University of Michigan Trade Union. Very similar background, right? She came from China, came to this country long back, worked up to the ladder, became a CTO. I'm so proud of what she's doing. The second person I'm talking to you in the last month is again you. You came to this country and you made a place for yourself. You want to share some advices? It'll be great.
Of course. For those emerging women leaders, I'll start with that, is you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know your journey. And sometimes your journey, you think it's going to be this way and it takes a different path, and you have to be very flexible. You have to be flexible. I say yes to a lot of things. There was not one position I said no to. Out of my 24 years at the credit union, I applied to 2 positions. The first one was a teller, and the one was to transfer to the lending area. Everything else I was asked if I was interested in doing it, and I never said no. Sometimes I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue, but I knew I was going to give it all. So be flexible. Network. There are not that many women leaders in our credit union. Go find them. Go search for them. And those leaders that are in my positions and similar, be a mentor. Find a mentee. Share your experience. Share your wisdom, because we need to do more. We need to do more to the next emerging leaders. There is so much information out there, and LinkedIn is my number one. I search for people. We connected on LinkedIn. I find people that are in my community, that are outside my community. How are you doing? What can we set up a call? Can we have a conversation? How did you get here? Learn from others. There's so many wonderful people that we can learn from. But ask questions. Don't be shy. That's one thing that I was kind of awkward shy for initially, but I learned that if I don't ask, I'm not going to learn. And stand up for yourself. Be very humble, be polite, but be stern. Have an executive presence when you walk into a room. You don't have to tell them your title, but the way you walk and the way you hold yourself says it all. And you have to have an executive presence. My mom taught me this at an early age. She told me to walk straight and have a notebook and a pen anytime I walk into a meeting. People will respect that. So have an executive presence. And find you a buddy that you can rely on. Because as women, sometimes we feel like we can't show our emotions, but people need to see that. We're humans first, okay? And humans have emotions. It's okay. I'm not saying we always have to cry, but it's okay to show your emotions, because your teammates understand that you also have an emotion and that you lead with passion, and
Yep.
it's so critical that you have to be a human being.
Understand. Absolutely. This was very well-rounded answer, I would say, right? This is great. So,
Thank you.
in terms of connecting, right, Hivi, I mean, I can't put enough stress on networking. I mean, I was just chatting with my 21-year-old kid, I would say, sister. I mean, uh, I mean, she was asking me one single question that this morning she's studying analytics, very similar to me. She has a background in economics, now doing analytics. Some of our professor told her that, you should go and do an MBA and do a PhD. I was like, what? You have to network. The most important thing, you have to go network. Go get to know people. It doesn't matter if you have a couple of PhDs in your backyard, but if you don't know anyone. That's the most important thing, and I cannot emphasize more heavily on this power of networking, right? I mean, literally, it's a trust that you build
Yeah.
in the ecosystem that people know you. I mean, Pranil, right? One of my colleagues here at Excel, he reached out to you and invited you into the podcast. I still remember getting a call from him. He told me that there's someone called Yiri. I think she came from Ethiopia. I don't know how he found out she came from Ethiopia, and she has an amazing story to say. And she's all over LinkedIn. I was like, oh, is it? That's good. This was the first discussion I had with Pranay, and I still remember that, right? And literally, LinkedIn is the sole reason because which I could find you, and we are having the discussion. I think that has to be put into enough limelight, or rather enough focus of networking, and mentorship is so important to me, right? Uh, what are your 2 cents on having mentorship, right? I know you talked about it, but still, I mean, someone like me who came to this country a few years back. I mean, how do you think mentorship can help people like us?
Absolutely, I think that's critical. So I partnered with a local university, well, two of them here, and I signed up to be a mentor. And I focused on first generation college students. And
Wow.
most of them are immigrants. Some of them were born here, but their parents are immigrants. And what I have conversations with them is, most of them, their parents don't speak English. They're working 2, 3 jobs to support them, which is what they're having to do. And so what happens to the students is they don't know how to network. So I want to bridge the gap. So I provide internship not only here at Associated Credit Union but other credit unions. But I also meet with them virtually every 2 weeks, and I ask them to bring 2, 3 things they want to discuss, challenges they have had, and how we can overcome them together. But it is so important, and two of them actually work at Associated Credit Union right now, and to me that's a success story. I'm not trying to solve everybody's problems, but at the end of the day, if I can provide 2, 3 students a year the opportunity to work at an amazing industry, the credit union that a lot of young people don't know about, but making a commitment to spend time with them and coaching them and mentoring them, I see what it has done for me. I was coached by amazing leaders. Now that I'm an AVP, I just didn't get here by myself. There are people that took a chance on me, that supported me, and one of them is our CEO. He believes in me. He teaches me, and I watch how he makes decisions. So being a mentor and finding a mentee is so critical, is so rewarding, because you see people growing and you had a little bit of their success. And
Absolutely.
you become part of their journey, you become part of their success story, and you feel good about it, but at the end of the day, you're also providing opportunities for the next leadership. When we retire, who's leading the credit union industry? And we have to start now. But I'm a big believer in mentorship.
That's great, Evie. I didn't know that you're doing it with local kids of universities. Let's connect after the podcast. Let me see if I can contribute something to it, because
Absolutely.
I used to do it like 3 years back.
Yeah,
We talk, pick up a phone, talk to kids. Tell me how can I help you,
yeah,
right? So if I can help you in any way, it'll be great, right? I would love that.
yes, absolutely.
Sounds good. I know we are on the top of the hour, and you have critical things to take care of the credit unions. I just want to uh, end this podcast with one overarching question which I have for almost everyone, right? And I love having different POVs from people coming, right? So where do you think is the credit union movement, moving forward, right? I know the rates will finally get cut now.
All right.
We had that news, right? So all of us are happy that things are softening. But where do you think is the ecosystem moving forward, Hivi? One, and what are your predictions? I mean, where do you think credit unions will be in the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years? I mean, where do you envision the movement to be?
Yep. I think we're spending, like everybody else, trying to understand how to use AI. And I think credit unions, small, medium, big, we have to invest in learning how AI is going to create efficiency, provide better experience, member experience, not only for our external members, but also our employees. And how can we create efficiency? It is so critical. AI has been a very, very hot topic everywhere I go. But also, we're no longer competing against each other. We're competing with fintechs. We're competing with Amazon. We're competing. I can show you this. I ordered this pair of glasses online, using AI, measuring everything, and uploading my prescription. So I now don't have to go and spend $400-500. I spent $70 on this. So that's it. We are no longer being, hey, are you competing with this credit union down the street? No, I'm competing with Amazon. I'm competing with other fintechs that are utilizing AI to learn about their members. And we have to invest the money, the resources, but also to attract the next generation. This is what they're expecting. They want to apply for an account and get it done in less than 3 to 5 minutes, because they want to do it while they're at Starbucks having coffee. That's what the expectations are. And as credit unions, that's where we should be moving to. It's going to be challenging, but we have to invest in the next generation. And I think AI is going to make a big difference.
So that makes me feel happy that at least I'll have my job for the next 20 years,
Yeah.
because that's what I do.
Absolutely. Let me tell you this. Well, I went to Ethiopia to visit my mom in 2008, and we were having lunch, and she said, "I'm going to give you some advice." She said, "You need to know technology." She said, "You're very smart, but I will tell you, the next 10, 20 years, you're going to have to be comfortable with technology." And that was in 2008 that I remember talking to my mother. Yep.
That's
And
15 years, 16 years that she predicted.
yeah.
And that's a future. I mean, be it member experience. I literally sound like a broken record in every interview. It takes 3 minutes to open an account in China, right? It takes even lesser to go and do similar stuff in a Revolut online, right? The question is, why will I or a Gen Z come to a credit union and become a trusted member or even have checking account? Firstly, basic difference of nomenclature. Why is it called a checking account? Right? Because people used to write checks, right? Now should we even call it a checking account, or should it actually be a savings account, or should it be some fancier name that you use for transaction? So I think it's also looking at the business model, the operating model. If you look, the current way how someone like me looks at a financial institution is just payments. My 95% of what I do with a financial institution is payments. What more than that? Nothing, right? That too, the experience has to be smooth, right? That too, telling me things like if there is a payment that's happening 1 a.m. in the night in Alabama, for example, and I stay in New York, it has to go and flag it as fraud, right? So these are basic tenets that I think we have to put in the ecosystem, be it fraud, be it actually assessing the need. So today, if I'm searching for a home loan, right, a mortgage or an auto loan, like for example, if I'm looking at buying a Mercedes Benz, I was just looking at the website a few days back, right? I was surprised to see that I didn't get any targeted campaigns from any credit unions,
Wow.
to be very honest. But I got targeted campaigns from all the big banks. And I got it within 3 days. I was surprised. Right? So these are basic changes that needs to happen. But yeah, I think we are working towards that. And I personally feel there's a long way to walk, and there is opportunity. I mean, I'm very optimistic about the movement like
Me
you are
too.
feeling. Great. So, Evie, thank you again for spending your time with us today. I really appreciate and thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed having this conversation and hope I can contribute to the success of the credit union industry.
Absolutely, Evie. Thanks a lot.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye.